6:41 on the clock in our studios. Good Thursday. I was about to say Wednesday. Thursday morning to you. Okay, you may have heard of such historical black figures like Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X, but many of us don't know about Buffalo soldiers and the role they played in our history.
Our Madeline Salinas joins us live with how one of those soldiers found their way right here in Corpus Christi. Madeline, good morning.
That's right. Good morning, Coastal Bend, with the first burial happening back in 1845 and the last in 1984. There's an array of souls of different ethnicities and backgrounds laid to rest at Old Bayview Cemetery. Among them even lay former slaves who now rest just feet away from their former owners. But there's only one black Buffalo soldier who lays there. A man who may have never imagined being born a slave in Kentucky would end up with him being honored in Corpus Christi. Just streets away from downtown Corpus Christi sits Old Bayview Cemetery, the oldest federal military cemetery in Texas.
Everybody in here you could tell a story about.
As the vice president of the Friends of Old Bayview Cemetery Association, Karen Howden knows a thing or two about the historic site. In 1845, just before the Mexican War, 7 of General Zachary Taylor's soldiers died. So that they had a place to rest, he obtained a burial site from founder of Corpus Christi, H.L. Kinney.
It was the community cemetery for the time period. It is not segregated. We're all in here together.
Among those buried at Old Bayview sits George Owens, a Kentucky native slave turned Buffalo soldier. Owens originally had no intention to serve back in 1864, but when he was sent to serve in the Army in place of his owner, he was left with no choice but to fight for the Union during the Civil War.
A lot of African Americans that are in here, they don't have their grave marked. They didn't have the money to afford one.
George Owens doesn't just have a marked grave. He has a historical marker signifying his service and sacrifice while serving in the 9th Cavalry.
This is one of the few places at the turn of the century, they got equal treatment officially. Now, of course, in all things social, there was unequal treatment.
Army veteran and historian Brian Shellum has dedicated the rest of his career to telling the stories of the Buffalo soldiers. So far, he's written 5 books on their life and accomplishments.
I often get the question, how can a white historian write about black history, black military history? And I often will answer the question with a question, how long do they have to wait to have their story written?
Shellum adds that it's only through the work and sacrifice of America's earliest black soldiers, like George Owens, that the Union won against the Confederacy during the Civil War.
And the white regiments came to respect their ability to fight. When you're in a fight or you're in a war, you're going to depend on whether he's black or white, he's wearing a blue uniform.
To hear more about George Owens and the Buffalo soldiers, you can read my full story at KIIITV.com.